Okay, hopefully that's working. A couple of camera issues, so my camera might end up freezing. If it does, just shout at me. We'll fix it out from there. Welcome in, all. Good to see you. Yeah, it's been a bit of a rush. I do apologise again, but we're going to get there, I promise. Welcome in to what will be very shortly Crusader and Tumbril Day. Hello to. There you go. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. There we go. No. This is going to be fun. So the face cam does some very weird stuff, and I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's a dodgy connection. I say just having touched the back there, and I'll see what's going on. Good. Welcome in to Socially, Calco, Citizen Ninja, to Jabba, Eve, Full Nelson, welcome in, Gruka, and John Chavez, to Daniel Marstrand as well. Welcome in, guys. Good to see you. We're going to go straight across to look at what's on in the event today. This is not fun, is it? And see what's going on. So, there we go. It's done it again. Yeah. So if it's planning on keeping this up, I won't be streaming for much longer. Okay, and it's gonna keep doing this. Excuse me while I go beat the living shit out of my thing. Let's have a look. Fuck it, let's do that instead. One can only hope now that I'm back on. Hello? Is this thing on? Can you hear me before I lose my shit? Good. Okay, fantastic. Apologies, thank you for that. So Nvidia does a weird thing. When I'm doing background replacement on my camera, this is just fucking annoying and boring, but it will explain a lot. When I'm doing background replacement on my camera, even when I shut it off, if I don't close the app, it continues the drain on the graphics card, even if I enable all the features in it. So I closed it, which then nuked the entire audio setup. So I don't know. But that is why we have problems with the screen rate, which is good because I want to take us through the Tiburon a little bit later today. And I think without the broadcast stuff, that's going to work. Okay, we have a few minutes to go through what I was going to talk about. Very, very quickly, Vanguard Sentinel is on Warbond. This one is up to down to 260 from 275. So a $15 saving, not massively generous, but the Vanguard Sentinel we talked about in the last live stream, one of the ships that I've got my eyes on from the gameplay perspective, not necessarily the ship perspective itself, the e-warfare, electronic countermeasures, jamming suite that they talked about years and years and years and years ago. If that is still where they're intending to go with e-warfare, then I'm very much interested in that ship. We also have the funding stats, and this is going to be a really interesting way to bounce onto the next bit. But we have just, in the last hour, because I checked an hour ago, broken 991 million now, with a bumper day. An absolute bumper day on the 20th, with the release of the Tiburon. So there we go. Yeah, a significant amount of money and barreling now towards the 1 billion mark. With release of the Odin on Sunday, it's very, very possibly by the end of this week that we will have breached $1 billion in this game, depending on how many $5,000 ships they are planning on selling. I'm guessing not, unless they sell it, unless they plan on selling a huge amount. You've actually still got to sell like 200. You'd still have to sell about 1,000 of them, but we'll see. I don't know how many hulls they sell, so we just don't know. So there we go. We then have on the big. It's probably a good job you can't see me flashbanged by that, right? But we have this. And we are very, very shortly going to blow past May's figure. Okay, in terms of the funding where we were when we went into June last year, we are still some 6 million behind last May's total figures. But with the lead that every single month so far has given us over the previous month, or at least maintained, well, it's looking to be another bumper year for CIG, depending on what IAE looks like, and they also had a really successful December last year as well. So, yeah, there we go. We have, obviously, at the end of, as Neil is saying in chat, we have the finale day, which will bring with it its own bunch of war bonds. And we'll have to see what that brings. Let's see, are we there yet? We have Aegis. We are up on the next day. Crusader is live. Thank you, Berkeisen. Seen that now. So here we go. Crusader Industries not expecting a ship, and it doesn't have the war bond either, by the looks of things. We'll have a look in just a second. But we do have the A1 Spirit, the A2 Hercules, Ares Inferno, and Ion. The C1, again, interesting. And it looks like the C2 as well. Interesting choices, because these are not primarily military ships. The C2, you can argue. The C1, not so much. It's transport and medium freight. DefenseCon differences continue to kind of bring different ships throughout. The M2 Hercules is in there. The Mercury Star, of course. And that's back to the A1. There we go. So that is the Crusader Industries. And Tumbril, If it's not Crusader, I'm guessing it's going to be the Tonk. There we go. So the Nova then, from 120 down to 110. Yeah, down to 110. So if the Tonk is your thing, might be worth looking at. I think we had someone in last time we talked, I can't remember who, talking about the Tonk has been buffed recently. So there we go. That's that. That's all this stuff, the Tumbril Complete Plaque, and so on and so forth. I'm just going to see in the background if I can get the face cam to play. Let's find out, shall we? Just going to muck around with it a bit in the background while we're all talking, because I will need to come back to this. But yeah, many cyclones, unsurprisingly, because it's Tumbril and a Nova, the Storm AA somewhere in the middle, and that's it. Those are our offerings. So if that's the offering today, I'm gonna. Well, I suppose I could take a guess at what tomorrow's will be. I think it will probably be one of the higher end C2 or the Hercules. A2 maybe. I reckon it might be the M2. I don't know. We might be lucky. We might get something smaller. But then again, given the fact that we've got a lot of high-value ships, we've had the Tiburon released, we've got the Ironclads out as well, they might go for something a little lower down in the chain to, stop people being able to close the gap at the upper end. I don't know. It really is anyone's guess. Welcome in, Asher. Good to see you. And Jukester, and Citizen Ninja, and Neil B, and everyone else that I haven't said hello to. Welcome in. Good to see you. So there we are. And that is it. So nothing new and surprising. There doesn't seem to be any kits. I mean, I don't know. I guess we can go and have a look at the store, right? So let's go have a look. What else is in the store? It was other, wasn't it? Anything else, Pills? No, it's still the Retaliators, still the Aegis stuff. Hammerheads, Pisces, Gladiators, Carax, Argo, Drake, Shiv, Kruger, Meteor. I mean, we've blown past it. Were the weapon kits up? If not, we got the tank weapon kit that we had before, which is I think it's both the tank cannon and then the rotary cannon. So that's that. Not a huge amount to see there, but there is something that I wanted to take you to, guys, very, very briefly. Okay, and we go back to the Tableau funding tracker. Something I think I'm just going to grab this and take it out of the way. Okay, there is something here I think that is probably worth mentioning just for a moment. It's not this table; it's the table below. We saw this briefly last time, and we talked about the different days and how much money you make, or more to the point, how much money CIG makes. Here's the interesting thing. Aegis. The Tiburon seems to be the highest single grossing day in Star Citizen history. Because the RSI day here, I think that was the launch, is what? All of, it's 60k behind it, 62k behind it. The Perseus concept sale, half of that. So the Tiburon, actually the single biggest grossing day in Star Citizen history. So there we go, we lived it, whether we knew it or not. On Wednesday, we went through and lived Star Citizen's biggest funding day. And that's kind of cool, right? Yeah, there we go. Big Gun Salsa socially. Never, my friend, a truer word spoken. Okay, so what I'm going to try and do at the minute, so there's that working. I'm going to make sure that we're not mucking around with anything else. And I'm hoping now that we will have a better day doing this. So, I'm going to drag us into the game. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the Tiburon. I have it in my hangar. And I'm convinced now that without the background replacement stuff, we can have a quick run around. I don't think we're going to see masses of difference from what people have said. said, but we can always go and take it, and maybe I can go and shoot something with it as well. That might be quite good fun, right? But there we go. Yeah, socially, it's almost like you predicted it, my friend. Good job. Also, it's getting really warm in the UK, and it's getting really warm in here already with the lights on. So, we'll have to see how things go. But let's have a look. There we go. The sound is off at the minute, so you won't get any sound just for the moment. I wish there was a little med bay where the armory is. Yeah, everyone wants the med bay, don't they? They want the they people want the ability to be able to respawn on their own ships. I don't. If it wasn't on the Hammerhead, we were never going to get it on the Tiburon. But yeah. So the background replacement that I'm using, Jabba, yeah, has been through NVIDIA Broadcast. Because I don't have a green screen. So yeah. Until Sunday, says Victor Laszlo. Yeah, I don't think that's going to match it. I mean, I don't know. It might do, right? But you actually have to sell an awful lot of battle cruisers. And one of the interesting thing, I mean, CIG never told us how many ships did they sell. How many applications did they have, and how many did they approve? And this is the really interesting thing. Just because people approved, just because they put an application in and are approved, doesn't mean they're going to buy it. Which is kind of mad, right? And also, people who would have bought it might then object to the fact that they've got to apply beforehand and have not gone through it. So yeah, I really don't know. Sunday could go any one of a whole bunch of ways. I'd be really interested to see which way they go. Sunday, it could depend on how many battlecruisers CIG said they want to sell. Absolutely. 1.0 launch will be a scary place for newbies. There's so many capitals around. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting. I'd imagine like the beginning kind of the intro stuff. A lot of that is going to be done in high sec systems, which would make sense. Got to sell around 1,700, says Neil, to break 1 billion. Yeah, that's a lot of ships. That's a lot of them. Do we think that 1,700 people applied, were approved, and will also buy? Yeah, that, Eve. Reading Spectrum, some big spenders did not get access to the people angry that they can't buy everything that they want. Yeah. That's why they get the massive battleship into the system and then find out all the jump points are small and the ship can't get past them. Yeah, I mean, that's one way to lock them down, right? Well, that's interesting. So that's a lot quicker, although not much. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, it'll be fine. Bearing in mind that the graphics card's now doing two things. But let's give it a go, see what we can get working. Tiburon, there we go. It's right in front of me the whole time. The true friends were the ones we made along the way. Bearing in mind it's Area 18, and Area 18 is not a lot of fun. What I might do is grab it, fly it into orbit before we start running around it too much, and then try and get it somewhere a little bit better. But that's looking a lot better for frame rate. Still not great. I'm still noticing ick. But there we go. So, let's have a run round. Is this freaking you out? Shall I put a little bit of the sound back on? Does that? There we go. A little bit of the sound. I'll drop the audio down on this. Sorry, I had to alt tab out. But there we go. Okay. I'm also trying to optimize my shaders as well, and that's never helpful. I did just download the patch this evening. So, what's the Tiburon prices socially? 700 war bond, 775 Non-war bond. Yeah, I think, Eve, that's kind of what's happened, right? So yeah, still surprised to hear a 5K price is expected a lot more. I had expected it to be higher, 100%. Um, I was definitely thinking it was going to be higher. So it's a lights back on, so we can see the ship. Then, good lord, there we go. There's definitely some different styling there, obviously, from the hammerhead in terms of like the the bits here and stuff. Let's get it into space. See what we can do. I did manage to get it on it and start to try and fly out the hangar. The problem I had was I didn't quite get there in time, right, um to like get out and start the stream. Oof. There you go, it's struggling now. As with many ships, it'll also struggle underneath them. The Perseus was awful for it. When the Perseus first launched, just standing under the ship was painful. The external look is a 10, says socially. She is a good looking ship for real. I'm gonna run around like this so we don't see too much. I mean, most of it anyway is a copy of the hammerhead, right? Right. The one mistake I did do the last time was I went down the ladder. And that ladder is the grabbiest ladder I have ever experienced in the history of Star Citizen. It is just grabby. So there we go. So yeah. At least there's no classic music overload in the hangars. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I thought it'd be the same as Perseus. It's an absolute copy of the Hammerhead with a couple of differences, right? So there we go. And she looks gorgeous. Let's, for fun, just do that. Oh, should we? Lol. There we go. Fantastic. just whoever was in that hangar control office is now not, or all over the hangar control office, like one of the two. Okay, let's get out and get away from Area 18, which is a bit of a performance hog. Oh, look, another Tiburon, which is being a bit of a performance hog at the minute. Let's get out. Do. In universe, I can see some miner ripping that beam laser out and sticking it onto a mining ship. Wouldn't that be interesting, right? If you could heat rocks up to that point. Okay, where are we gonna head? Should we go into the middle of nowhere? So let's go, I don't know. The problem with this sometimes is that the star map's been really temperamental. So what happens is sometimes you click this, and when you go to click route, the button doesn't light up, and it won't allow you to click a route. Like that. God, I hate being right in this game sometimes. Okay, that's fine. We'll go this way. We'll find something to fly towards, and we'll just drop out of Quantum Midway. Oh, Terra Gateway, I'll do. Let's do that. Let's fly towards Terra Gateway. There we go. Right. There we are. Let's take that off. So just in case we fall out the ship, it doesn't disappear into the middle of, bumfuck nowhere. Let's pop us back into that mode. Here we go. Okay. Very, very nice. Also, if you're happy to be watching this, SC Kingdom, in the replay, no, told you. There we go. Okay, so a very, very good looking ship. I really quite like that front angle there. And I'm just going to, do you know what, let's turn her slightly. And then I'm going to do the same thing all over again. Let's do this. Yeah, so she's got the shark fin, obviously styled on a shark. Tiburon, I think, is either a breed of shark native to Spain or Spanish waters. More to the point, obviously not the Spanish mainland, or it's just the Spanish word for shark. Someone could probably let me know on that or correct me. So she's going to have a lot of that kind of styling on her. And you can see you've got the dorsal fin right at the top there. You've also got fins at the side, at the rear here. So she's kind of following that. Yeah, this isn't my ship, Malemba. This is just the stock one. And I'm not going to lie, it's probably my favourite paint. It's one of the few times the factory standard paint really has kind of got my attention on that. I like the red pulsing kind of down the side, and it also does some fun things in the center there where you fire the laser. Those heat exchangers, the energy going down there, that's kind of cool, right? Means shark in Spanish. It does, Malemba, thank you. So there you go. So yeah, let's jump out and have a walk around. But hopefully the shaders building won't hurt it too much, but this is feeling a lot better. There you go. See, this is more my playing experience. So you guys know that it's not a potato that's hurting my rig setup. But very much here in the I mean, there are, or it feels like differences. It's been a long time since I've been in the hammerhead, but this is feeling a lot. It's feeling slightly different. The lighting I quite like, but the green lighting was a hammerhead thing, I think. So there's that, and let's, what do you mean call it? Did that send the elevator back up? Well, that's rubbish. Hello? Yes, it did. And it almost killed me. That would have been rubbish also. Yeah, Badgers goes to show off the Tiburon, kills himself on it, has to reclaim it, 5 hours later, and no one's interested. And like, I get that 100%. But there we go. Okay, so one of the areas that is obviously going to be very, very different is this area, because this was the old docking collar, but the laser actually sits above and through this. So what we have now is this, which is your army area, your suit racks, which we had on either side anyway, but we now have more weapon spaces and all that sort of stuff. Basically, I think what they were complaining that isn't on the normal hammerhead is now on its competitor, the Tiburon. So there we go. We also have some remote turrets. Now, I would have been really interested to see this. Maybe, you know, the center of the ship now being sealed in, it would have been really cool to have seen something that was like, you know, hey, really? There we go. Just wasn't coming up. So here are the guns. And this is what I meant about the arcs, right? Is that this thing is great when you're ahead. Everything, or when your target is ahead. If we're aiming at the sun, everything will be able to jump into. Okay. I'm just going to do something here. Bear with me. Because I don't feel like we're getting the full effect of that. And you guys definitely aren't, because I've turned your sound up. Or down, right? So, here we go. Let's try the gun firing. Oh. Still not massively. But yeah. Nice effect with the smoke and stuff and the fire. That's alright. But, yeah. It would have been nice to see some sort of like CIC where they all sit round of it. Kind of like in the Redeemer, right? Is that you've got that, sorry, the Redeemer, the Reclaimer, where you can all sit around in the centre. That would have been kind of cool to see. We don't have that on here. Why are all the lights out? Can I have some lights on, please? No? Okay. I know power's been a bit squiffy as well. I know I've turned the lights off in the back of my Drake Vulture, and I can't switch them back on because the option still says off, which isn't helpful. So let's have a run round, and hopefully you'll get the general feel for it. Another one of the remote turrets, set out where the other normal man turret would be on the hammerhead. Everything else is feeling very familiar. It's feeling very, very hammerhead-y. Hammerhead aficionados, if there are any in chat, what's it looking / feeling like? Is this pretty much exactly the hammerhead? Is that what we're... Yeah, there is no lighting. Oh, we got that. We got emergency lights. And now I can't turn them off. Great. Okay, there's an emergency in the captain's cabin. Not enough cider. A hollow dome bubble around the gunner would have been awesome. Yeah. Oh, good. So I turned on the emergency lighting in the captain's cabin, and now it's all the way through the ship. Well, that's wonderful. And this has had its gold pass too. Maybe that's why it's feeling slightly different. Because it's had its gold pass, right? So the interior is probably feeling a little bit more polished, as it were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So still room for 9 crew. Almost exactly. I kept mine if you ever want to look. Thank you, Melimber. I appreciate it. Because this has got to get, like you said, gold pass. They've changed a couple of bits. And one bit is a slightly increased space to include in Nursa here. I'm going to talk about that later. When I do the Ready for Inspection series, which I'll be doing when the replacement or the PC arrives. Captain sets the alarm state. Yeah, but from his bed, really? That's just a lazy captain, right? Okay, so we got some components now, which is fun. We still got the engineering and stuff up top. Shouldn't we now have, if I remember rightly, shouldn't we now have a gravity generator room? Do we have one? I can't remember where it was. Why do I have the feeling it was up here? Or am I just going nuts? Probably just going nuts, right? It's probably now just stored behind something as opposed to being its own room. Power plant. Cooler. Stuff. Up the elevator near cargo. Gotcha. Okay, I can do that, no problem. But this is much... Have you guys noticed the improvement? Without NVIDIA Broadcast eating up, 95% of my resources. Is this a lot better for you guys as well? I'm hoping so. I'm hoping this is a much smoother kind of experience for you guys. Smooth. Good. That's right. Good spot. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. There you go. So we now have a gravity room. Very much similar to the one on the Reclaimer. Kind of tried to eat me there. Thanks for that. Still a little bit small. Feel like they could have gone slightly smaller on that thing. But nice grav gen. And then... Cool, there is so much stuff kicking around. Still got the crew space. Vent access. What I was kind of hoping for, more... I don't feel like just yet, and this isn't just the Tiburon, it's this. Okay, so they have got a little bit more storage spacey in here. So that's good. And I'm hoping whatever comes out, it kind of comes out in like the delivery SU boxes, like the 1/8, where you get to place and they sit in their own individual places if you want to, as opposed to having to manually put them all down. But yeah. So yes, like people said, 95, I can't remember who said it. There you go, Ashra. 95% hammerhead inside, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I always was kind of a bit of a fan of the hammerhead's interior. But I can't help but feel like it's a bit of a shame when you could have done different things with it. Do you know what I mean? They could have done there could have been a bit more variation, like we said, like a CIC, because of course running down this bit, this would be on the other ship where you look into that void. And I know the laser's supposed to be there, but something like that would have been cool, right? Would have been quite nice. I mean, even this space, if they'd wanted to. They could have turned this into a CIC and move, you know, without the weapon racks in the other ship. So, has anyone looked at the Hammerhead since the gold standard? I should have rented that as well. Bugger. And of course it's changed over now, so now I can't go and rent it. But does the Hammerhead also have an armory bit now at the front? Because that could have gone somewhere / anywhere else, right? Because the other thing is these two engineering bits on site. Do we need two? I guess for the component space. But you could have done the component access out here, right? One bit of component access there. And then another bit here. And then have an armory on the side, right? It has an armory at the docking port, yeah. I knew it had, like, the suit lockers and stuff. But, yeah. I put the speed blade on my Hammerhead, says Malemba. It gets to 165 at SCM now. Compared to 150 on the Tiburon and Perseus. Nice. Seeing the laser from the inside would have been cool. Jabba, mate, we can do that right now. Your wish, sir, is my command. I'm all over it, bud. Let's go and do that. Let's go and fire it from the first person. But yeah, this is the grabbiest grabbiest ladder, rather, in the history of NATO. Get anywhere near it and it's just like, mine. Ooh. Ooh. Slight stutter. By slight, I mean major, but there we go. Boink. And you want to see it fired from down here. Ray, welcome in, buddy. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. So, yeah. Okay. Well, we've got power to everything. We are good to go. Let's give it beans. Do you know what? You've got the sound and stuff. Not necessarily as cool as I would have liked. But yeah, a bit underwhelming, but that's only natural, I guess, when you have. Let's try this without the glare. Let's try it again. So there's a little bit of like an effect, like the energy rippling around it as well, which is kind of nice. But there we go. Tiburon laser has a lot of mass. It maneuvers much worse than the Hammerhead. Yes, it does. So we saw that in the Q&A section they had a little while ago. Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, Jabba. Yeah. Sorry, you're right. Absolutely. So there we go. Check the inside of the barrel. What, like this? This is more of a laser point of the beam. Yeah, I think that's like they could have had a bit more fun, I think, with a laser. But then again, you know, with these particle effects, we've seen them go back and redo art for weapons that have been about for ages. So yeah, it's been there. DefenseCon, hello, buddy. Good to see you. Long time no see, my friend. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, I do like that look. Is great. I think I kind of like. I like the silhouette more than I do the Hammerhead. I'm not a massive fan of the turrets, the way they're set up. Like, I see why they've gone for it stylistically, but yeah, I think that's. I think that's a little bit interesting. I think it's also interesting that they've gone for the barrels closest to the center line of the ship. If they'd swapped them around and had the barrels furthest from the hull, you'd have a better angle shooting like diagonally this way. So the port turret, the one at the front here, would have had a better angle, a wider angle shooting this way, with the barrel on the outside. Not by much, but it would make a difference, I think. Tiburon laser will fire for 16 seconds, says Malemba, then needs to cool down, needs at least 4 seconds to cool down, but if you give it 16, then it fires for 16 again. Gotcha. Yeah. The mouth paint looks pretty good. So let's just bring that back around. Boink. Not the mouth paint on this one, but definitely a good looking ship, you know? I can see why people have gone for it, and I would imagine that there is a lot of fun going to be had with these against the Mauler. Especially when you can do this one player at a time. You know, you're going to struggle against the fighters and stuff, that's really going to be rough. But a bunch of these against the Mauler might be quite good fun. Now I want a shark paint on my hammerhead. I mean, you know where Spectrum is, right? Give them a shout, see what they say. But there we go. Not much else to see on the Tiburon in terms of having a look around and whatever else. But, you know, still a very good looking ship. I take it I'm just going to move it so we can see underneath. There we go. I take it the landing gear all still the same as the hammerhead. Pretty much, right? Yeah, the red running lights down the side that end up looking like pulses, they're pretty cool as well. I gotta say, I'm impressed. I can see why it's as popular as it is. Like Socially says, it is, you know, big guns sell 100%, but she's very she got the shark look far more than the hammerhead did, I think. Torpedoes will easily take out a Tiburon. So far it's quite vulnerable. It is. Sharks with frickin' laser beams. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, they actually did that. And like I said, the heat exchangers on the top are well. That open and close as it fires. That's a very cool, and in that order, right, front to back. So close front to back, and then open back to front. Nice. This is the ship for everyone who lost the F5 war on Idrises. I mean, you're not wrong. You are absolutely not wrong. But a very good looking ship. Really, really appreciate it, I think. Yeah, I feel like it is different enough from the hammerhead in terms of the externals. Internals, jury's out on that one. But yeah, they've done a really good job. CIG missed that trick. They did in a video. When the Tiburon is fighting NPC fighters, it does very well. It does help that it's very agile and big. Yeah, so if you fully crew this thing, fine. I think you could run just as many as a full crewed. And you'd have lots of fun against the Mauler. You just really suffer against, because you'd have 6 side stands, right, instead of 1. But yeah, it's fun. So does that mean then? Can I control? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Well, that was silly. Not only did I press the wrong button, I then pressed the right button, so I powered down and gotten out of the seat. Oops. How many turrets will they let you blade, do you think? So, at the moment, computers have different sizes in the game. This is a complete guess. This is not what's going on, this is my guess. But I do feel like... Ooh. There we go, that's better. No, that's actually fast. I think the amount of blades you'll be able to install will be governed by a couple of things. Primarily, it will be governed by computer size, right? Secondly, it will be covered by the type of seat. So there might be a modifier that says, hey, you know, you get a little bit more because it's a military ship, so it would be designed potentially to take more military blades. The seats are different. The way the seats go in and out. Right? So, can I... No? Okay, the co-pilot seat is actually working, but I don't have control of the... Oh, that's why. I do have control of the laser. There you go. So control from either seat. Co-pilot can use missiles. Yeah, it was interesting to see whether the co-pilot can use the laser, but I guess it doesn't actually make a lot of sense in this. Other than the idea of if you do require 2 crew, it stops people, excuse me, single crewing these things as they do. But yes. That's part of the Hammerhead gold pass, so it's the same. Okay, so they do come in from different angles. You've got a little bit more room to move. That's great. And you've also got room there when they're flying to go and stand in front of them and be a complete nuisance. Right. Hopefully I don't... We've got atmosphere, right? I'm not going to suddenly start choking. Good. Because I'm going to need some. I'm going to need some of my crews. For those that are wondering, this is John Wick at home. We have John Wick at home. Or Team U John Wick. There you go. Lovely jubbly. That's my character through and through. There we go. What's that? So is that the downdraft from the thrusters, or is that just a weird one? That's just a weird one. Okay, fun. Oh, the elevator's got to stop doing that. So there we go. So that's the Tiburon, the ship that has spawned. Along with everything else that was going on that day, the single largest funding day in Star Citizen history. That's quite exciting. And also a very good looking, very powerful, it seems, ship. The real CIG issue is having balance-wise is would you rather have 2 Perseus with 3 folks each, or 1 fully crewed Tiburon, a Hammerhead with 6 folks in it? Yeah, I think when you start doing cross ships like that, like they mentioned specifically that Hammerhead is anti-fighter, Perseus is anti-subcap, Tiburon is anti-cap, right? So the direct... The question is, it's things like the Idris is a really good example of this. Take the Idris with the railgun or the beam weapon. Would you rather have 1 fully crewed Idris, which is what, 15, 16 people? Or would you rather have 16 Idris that all have the chin weapon? Now, I can tell you which fight you're going to win. It doesn't matter how many people... You know, how well your 16 crew Idris is doing, they are not going to beat 16 single crew Idris that all have the lasers or the, you know, the railguns on the front. So, yeah, that's a bit of an interesting one for them, and they've got to get this, for this to work. As the original concept was supposed to work, for this to do what it was supposed to be doing, well, they need to make multi-crew ships. You know, they need to make multi-crew ships more effective than the sum of their parts. In other words, if you can get 5 one-person ships or 1 5-person ship, right? The 1 5-person ship should reward people for working together. Yeah, so there's that. Asset risk and operational cost can be used. That's certainly going to be part of the balance, 100%. So yeah. Peripheral Toe, welcome in, buddy. Good to see you. I'll laugh hard at anyone who pays $5 grand for a shipping game. Yeah, I mean, £5 a huge amount of money. But then again, you know, I'll laugh at anyone who spends a huge amount of money on golf clubs, because I don't play golf, or fishing rods, or, you know, insert random expensive hobby here. It comes down to when when it's money and games and stuff and hobbies, people are going to spend money on what they spend money on, and you know, it's far better focusing on what we're doing than what other people are doing. So yeah, if it's not for you, mate, completely understand. There is no way I am ever stumping up £5 for a shipping game, but that's just me. So there we go. I'm fine if they force multi-crew ships to be inoperable with less than the minimum crew. Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with, like now, being able to take the Tiburon from one place to another, 100%. But, you know, if you take the railgun and make the railgun something you need to load in the game, and then something, you know, so you need people to load it, and then you have a separate gunner position on the bridge, then there's a real payoff. Of course, at the moment, they're not going to do that, I don't think, because they're too busy trying to drag people into the game to make it more accessible. The fear that I think a lot of us have, the people that pledged to the original vision, or were at least aware of the original vision, and that's what attracted us to Star Citizen, is make it more accessible, sure, but that doesn't necessarily mean dumbing it down. And that doesn't mean that everyone gets to do everything, and that anything that is remotely challenging or taking time to achieve or taking time to master, those things, you don't have to dumb them down, because then all you've got is COD in space. And none of us, I don't think, signed up for COD in space. And in the nicest possible way, if what you've done is sign up for COD in space, you've got it wrong. Right? And I mean that in the nicest possible way. But I am keen to hold true to the original vision. I know that the people in DGP are keen for it to stay the same, you know, the same vision of, yes, we all need more accessible gameplay loops where we can come in and just maybe spend an hour, as opposed to, oh my god, it's taken me 45 minutes to meet up with my friends, and now someone's crashed and they've ended up back at the original station and blah blah blah. That needs to be sped up, for sure. But in terms of combat, if everything can be done by one person. I think at the moment, with multi-crew, there's still a lot to bring in. You know, we've got things like, we don't have a system, for example, of being able to, you know, a reliable system, a useful system of designating lots of targets, and then, you know, being able to do those shot calling, you know, of like everyone focus on target 1 over target 3 or whatever. They don't have that yet. There's a lot of other stuff they need to do, like being able to comms, being able to haul, actually identifying targets. At the moment, you instantly find out what it is. These are all things that can make multi-crew more meaningful. As a pilot, you're doing one or the other. You know, you're flying the ship whilst trying to split your attention between, you know, comms and figuring out what a target is. Whereas multi-crew, you do all that at the same time, and that's the power of it, right? And the other thing is, single fight or single crew ships should take an awful amount of time fighting a bigger thing, right? Just because you got a pistol doesn't mean you should be able to kill a tank. Yeah? Just because you've got a fighter with bombs and rockets doesn't mean you should be able to sink a battleship. So there's that. Get orgs working, contracts, crew wages, contract payments. Yeah, there's a lot in that, right? There's a lot to go on there. So yeah. Rebalancing the crew value proposition is going to be a thing. Who wants to play ship engineer unless it really contributes a different? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's it. And I see what Jabba's saying. He's like, sure, people want to play the engineer. There's no argument there. But you've got to make it mean something. You've got to make it, A, engaging for the player, and B, you know, there should be a difference. You should be, you know, if you have two ships fighting and everything is equal, other than one has an engineer, one doesn't, the ship with the engineer should come out on top. That's the difference, right? The ship with the engineer should come out 100% of the time on top, where everything else is equal. You've got the same level of accuracy, you've got the same components, you've got the same ship. The engineer should be the difference, right? That's how it should work, and they've got to get to that point. And then a ship with a engineer who's just learning the ropes should then really struggle against an engineer that's their class of ship, and they know it inside out. It's their bag, right? Again, COD is great. As COD says socially, if I want Call of Duty, I'll play Call of Duty. Absolutely. Eve says, I think most ships will be usable with just a few people. Too much of a player requirement will make a ship barely usable. Interesting we're having this conversation, because Sunday, the Odin, yeah. Blades and NPC will be very important. It will. Matt P says, we won't be having this conversation when ships systems get built out and become complex. Yeah, exactly that. And this is the hope that they become complex. And I think this is part of why the beam sitters and we'll go for it. We'll go for a bit of a flight, right? Just while we're talking to make it look pretty. There we go. Lovely jubbly. That's pretty, right? There we go. Let's do this as well. Nice. There we go. A little bit of eye candy while we talk. Odin is something like 100. Odin's going to be huge. When the Javelin is 80, the Odin is going to be significant. Yeah. I don't know. I think accommodation for around 150 potentially. Jabba, you're more than welcome, mate. No, I agree with you 100%. So yeah, there we go. Engineering should be socially paying off for the player, 100%. And it should be fun. And sorry, this is what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. This is why I think people got pissed off with the beam citizen thing. It wasn't necessarily that it was another beam. It was that everyone saw that they could have done this another way. And we all saw that in that video that they had at Gamescom, where you went to the down satellite and you found the kind of circuit board and you had to find the right one. Now, there is no reason you couldn't have that same thing where every component has some circuit boards or components that you fill, like that fuse looking thing in the or the canister in the life support, where you pull the circuit board and you turn it around and it doesn't look damaged, so you put it back in. And then you find the damaged looking one, and then you go to your stores or you look through your gear and you find the one that you have that can replace it. And then you slide that back in again, right? And then it runs up. There were so many other things they could have done with engineering. What they went for was a beam. And I think it felt like, again, dumbed down. And yes, they said, you know, very early on that, ooh, look at that. I can see inside your ship. Doo-da, doo-da. There we go. But, you know, that whole kind of... there we go. They could have done some stuff, right? Matt P says it might just be me, but I think the Tiburon looks like ass. Less like ass than the Hammerhead, which is a brick but still ugly. Yeah, mate, I got to disagree with you there. I get it. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder and all that shiz. I actually quite like it. I got to say, like I said, it's the turrets for me that the bit that I enjoy the least. The one on the back's beginning to look a little bit dated. Might be a controversial take, but yeah. I gotta say, you know, for the nose and thing, the way the laser is, that central spine area, that whole firing thing like it's doing now. Yeah, and the closing, I like it. The fins, the dorsal fin, and yeah. There's that. I don't know. Hello, buddy. Good to see you. Yeah. I wonder if the camera view can be used to look inside another ship. I don't know. And I'm not going to go around to find out at the minute, because people seeing me in this thing are just going to assume I'm spoiling for a fight. If I then get close enough to put the camera into someone else's ship, they are proper going to freak out. I love the Hammerhead poster at landing zones. I want that postable in game. I mean, I'm sure they'll get round to it. Thinking about it, each ship should have its problems, not the type of the ship. Just like Juliet always has problems with a port aft turret, a personality. Oh, I see what you mean. So you've got that foibles, like the compression coil on the Serenity. Yeah, I get it. Nightbreak, black red paint of the hammerhead makes the glass red. Ooh, does it? I don't think that changes my mind, but it's a nice touch, certainly. Yeah, just... Pew pew for you. There you go. Nice. The turrets do look a bit funky, you're right. 100%. But yeah, a very good looking ship, I think. And like I said, there's the results are hard to argue with, and the results of this was that the Tiburon was the day where we got the highest level of funding, higher even than the Perseus, higher than the Ironclad. It's a big old day for Star Citizen, for CIG, over 3.5 million in one day. That's pretty crazy. So there we go. Just to recap then, today's Warbond, the Novatonk, from 120 down to 110. We also have this bad boy, which is lots of fun. Lots of fun, I'm sure, to be had in tactical strike groups up against the Mauler. And if you do manage to catch a fighter in front of you, then boy oh boy is it going to know about it. And then tomorrow, it will be something from Crusader's lineup, as today will be Tumbril as the Daily Warbond deal. I'm guessing it's going to be something like the M2 or the A2, but I could be wrong. Those higher end ships will be closer to things like the Tiburon and the Ironclad, so CIG might opt to do something a little lower down the scale. We'll find out. And then I'll be with you all on Sunday. Like I said, watch for your notifications. If you're not already, you can subscribe, you can hit the bell, you can do all that good stuff. I'll also be putting it up in the Discord. I tend to announce a little bit before my streams when they're going to be. So if you're not, you know where the link is, it's in the description. Come join us in the Discord. We're a friendly bunch. Also a very alcoholic bunch, so that's good news. You can kind of come along and have a look. Socially, this week's sneak peek is interesting. Looks alien. Interesting. Does someone want to send me that just before we go? Does someone send me that in Discord? That might be interesting. I think I've got it over here, yeah. So I've changed my sound. So let's have a look. If someone wants to send me that very, very quickly in chat, more than happy to have a look. Or drop it into one of the things. If you can find it. Sneak peek of the week. Ooh. Am I reading that right? The Banu Okello. That's what it says at the top. So when you link to that, it says Banu Okello, O-C-H-E-L-O. Interesting. I have no idea what that is, but that is not the Raylan. Very interesting. Thank you very much for that heads up. Yeah, I have no idea what that's doing. Banu snub? Possibly. That might be an internal or external part. This bit at the back might still be it. Yeah. Armour. Could be armour. I guess which bit of armour is that? I don't know. Is that the back of a seat? Ooh, good call. They have. Interesting. Socially, you might be on that because they did say at some point that they were working on an animation that is new to get in and out of a seat for an upcoming vehicle. So yeah. They said we're getting 2 alien ships, one being a snub. Yeah, very well could be. Very well could be. June is Alien Week. Yeah, so Alien Week almost immediately after DefenseCon, I think. And I'll be around for that as well. Back of a seat, yeah. I think you guys are onto something. Looks like a storage area to me, says Eve. Yeah, well, whichever one it will be, I will be there for it. You know I will be, and looking forward to it. So yeah, we'll be around for that. So next week I'm working from home, so I'll be around next week. That's all good, and hopefully we can start getting back to some normal service. And the week after I'm on leave. So there we go. And I've got some time off because not too soon from now, Badgers are getting a little bit older. So there we go. I'd love another Banu ship. So socially, yeah, and you know, BMM when, but of course it would be nice to see them work on the kits on a smaller scale and then be able to scale that up quite soon. The Gatak Raylan obviously being the other alien ship that we're expecting. That has been confirmed. It's been known about for quite some time, and they confirmed it in a whole bunch of different ways. But yes, looking forward to all of that. So there we go. A bit of a slow news day today because there is no new ship. But Tiburon looking good. The sneak peek definitely catching people's attention. Possibly a seat, possibly something else. Who knows? You know, that might be a really just ornate piece of cutlery or a toothpick or something. Who knows? But there we go. I'm going to go now because I'm actually boiling alive in here. I'm going to have to go dig out one of the fans from upstairs because this is ridiculous. It's been lovely to see you all. You've been watching Jinkers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.